Come, let us practice Tantric Chanting to help us meditate like a Jedi. As the tip of our left index finger supports the great knuckle at the base of our right index finger, palms up in our lap. Let us practice the energy work of bliss and letting go in such a manner that it feels as if the force itself is giving us a kiss upon the top of our head. To do this, we require neither blind faith nor strenuous visualization. Instead, we'll choose the route that is as easy as it is effective. We will simply chant 6 syllables. Lama, come to this crown. Lama, come to pay crown. Pay being a syllable, sometimes associated with either the top of the head or the space just above it. Lama, come to pay crown. 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 Let's practice this morning's first set of the awareness and letting go. That is meditating like a Jedi, comprised of the 7th and 8th folds of the Buddha's Eightfold Path. Sturgeon's law reminds us that 90% of everything sucks, including humans, including meditation teachers. The 90% are defined by being rigid, fearful, superstitious, controlling, elitist, cryptic, competitive, and cruel, instead of being flexible, loving, rational, laid back, egalitarian, lucid, cooperative, and kind. We see this all over. We don't just see this in spiritual circles. We see this in secular circles, vocational circles, recreational circles. Hence the phrase, the lunatics have taken over the asylum. Although I would prefer to substitute the word cranky bastard for lunatic. So it should come as little surprise that the majority of meditation teachers and authors implore their students to actively concentrate and actively contemplate, thus overworking their dorsolateral and medial prefrontal cortex. The problem with that is that these people quickly begin presenting with symptoms of depression, and they call it renunciation, and then they wind up accidentally triggering their amygdala, the seat of both anxiety and aggression, which is absurd. No one says, hey man, I want to be more anxious and aggressive. I think I'll meditate. They do that for the opposite reasons. So here's the cool thing. When we practice mindfulness and meditation correctly, we are vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly cooperating with our own autonomic nervous system, the equipment of our Buddha nature. Why has it earned that nickname? Because when we cooperate with our autonomic nervous system, our amygdala is calmed, our anterior cingulate gyrus, the seat of empathy, is gently stimulated. We are considerably more peaceful, and our choices, utterances, and deeds begin flowing not from calculated contrivance, not from wild scatteredness, but from a love's deeply centered love's deep centeredness. So that sounds great. Let's figure out how to do this. How do we passively, after a lifetime of being trained to be go-getters, how do we now passively cooperate with our autonomic nervous system? Simple. Every time we feel air enter our nostrils, silently and mentally we can recite the verb watch. Every time we feel air exit our nostrils, we can silently and mentally recite the verb rest. Doing so, we wind up watching mind's antics, whatever they be, and resting in mind's non-graspable nature. So let us sit as sustainably as we can. Let us sit and breathe and watch and rest. Now, don't be shy. The moment you have a specific question about Buddhist or Taoist meditation or philosophy, do not hesitate to type your question in great detail in the chat window. For I do check for questions intermittently. We're going to start by touching the tip of our left thumb to the lowest crease of its little finger. This is how we keep track of our first set of 16 inhalations. On our right hand, we get to count those 16 inhalations. Having completed our 16 inhalations while silently and mentally reciting watch and rest, we now advance the tip of our left thumb to the second set of creases upon its little finger. So now we're going to return both our hands to our lap, continuing to use the tip of our left index finger to support the great knuckle at the base of our right index finger, palms up, in our lap. And yes, this could seem overwhelming. All new things do. But repetition is the mother of skill. Play with these exercises about once every 12 hours or so, and within a week or two, this could seem as natural as brushing your teeth. Having completed our first silent meditation, let us take a moment to shift gears. It is General Leia Organa Saturday morning. Come, let us meditate like a Jedi after approximately 30 seconds of housekeeping. This is the Dzogchen Semde Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. For more than 30 years, I have harnessed my autistic special interests as well as my ADHD hyperfocus to spend about 8 hours a day, almost every day, studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each school of meditation so that I could become your personal nerdy, neurodivergent guide to nirvana. Welcome, my friends, to meditate like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. Let us practice holocron-like exercises of impermanence and interdependence, the first fold of the Buddha's Eightfold Path. Let us begin by bringing our experience of the circumstantial into the path of the wisdom of letting go. As we relax into our exhalation, these circumstances are lots we noticed during our previous inhalations could look as impermanent and interdependent. As if they could blissfully melt into rainbow light that could delightfully absorb into this body or form. Let us divide the silent and mental recitation of this 6-syllable synopsis between our inhalation and our exhalation into form all lots melt. This is nothing rigid to be believed. This is we're simply passively and silently playing with words in harmony with our breathing to gently stimulate neural pathways that help us to get better at letting go. As we relax into our exhalation, these bodies or forms we felt during our previous inhalation could feel as impermanent and interdependent, as if they could blissfully melt into rainbow light that could delightfully absorb into this communication or speech. Into speech, all forms melt. So, doing a bunch of chanting, and the chanting might be easier for you if you join me. It might be easier for my friends on the clock app if they join me on the tube app. If you can see my face in the upper corner of your screen, and the rest of the screen is completely filled with a document, then you're at the tube app. Everything's taken care of. As we relax into our exhalation, the experience of the interpersonal speech or communication we had during our previous inhalation could feel as impermanent and interdependent as if it could blissfully melt into rainbow light that could delightfully absorb into this mind. Into mind, all speech melts. As we relax into our exhalation, all the lucid perceiving, emoting, intending, thinking, recalling and imagining minds we noticed during our previous inhalation could feel as impermanent and interdependent as if they could blissfully melt into rainbow light that could delightfully absorb into our vast empty void, like the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful cloudless morn, which, although could look tantalizing to the eye, could feel not graspable to the hand. Into void, all things melt. This brings us to this early morning's second set of the awareness and letting go that is meditating like a Jedi, the seventh and eighth folds of the Buddha's Eightfold Path. So what are those seventh and eighth folds? Well, they are noticing and relaxing. You see, every time we inhale, we automatically access the middle bit of our spinal cord, whose fancy name is the sympathetic nervous system. It is evolved to help us to vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, fleetingly notice mind's antics of perception, emotion, intention, cognition, recollection, and imagination. We have evolved to notice whatever comes up, whether that which comes up is external or internal, physical or mental, pleasurable or painful, interesting or boring, glorious or grotesque. But what do we do with that which we noticed during our inhalation? Simple. During each exhalation, we have evolved in such a way to cause the upper bit and the lower bit of that same spinal cord, known as our parasympathetic nervous system, to physically relax and mentally release to such a degree that that which we noticed during our previous inhalation could fleetingly feel less stressful, less permanent, less defining, and even less graspable. Till, of course, we breathe in again and the cycle begins afresh like the ticking pendulum of a grandfather clock. And so, let us watch the antics of mind and rest in its non-graspable nature. The moment you have a specific question about Buddhist or Taoist philosophy or meditation, do not hesitate to type your question in great detail in the chat window, for I check for questions intermittently. As the tip of our left middle finger supports the great knuckle at the base of our right middle finger, palms up in our lap. We could practice the energy work of bliss and letting go in such a manner that it could feel like the Force itself is giving us a hug. To do this, we require neither blind faith nor exhausting visualizations. Instead, the easiest as well as the most efficient way is for us to simply chant the following 6 syllables. Lama blend with this mind. 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 Let's practice this early morning's third set of awareness and letting go. That is, meditating like a Jedi, the 7th and 8th folds of the Buddha's Eightfold Path. As we feel our chest swell with air, we could silently and mentally recite the verb watch. As we feel our chest subtly sink as we gently exhale, we could silently and mentally recite the verb rest. Now, don't be shy. The moment you have a specific question about Buddhist or Taoist meditation or philosophy, do not hesitate to type your question in great detail in the chat window, for I tend to check for questions intermittently. What is this thing called enlightenment? Those who are weaselly and are addicted to power and importance will tell you it's something very, very difficult and impossible to achieve, so shut up and just give them a tithe every month. Yuck. The Buddha, however, didn't get that memo, and instead he taught in the penultimate passage of the Satipatthana Sutta that one could master his path in as little as 7 days. One then must re-examine the very definition of enlightenment. What if enlightenment was simply mastery of the Buddha's Eightfold Path? But what do we mean by mastery? As children, we found the task of properly using a toilet, or brushing our teeth, or tying our shoes, or riding our bike to be an insurmountable task. And yet with some time and effort and sometimes tears, we finally got so good at those tasks that we began performing them spontaneously, habitually, easily, and effectively. That's mastery. Simply by playing with the mindfulness that watches and the meditation that rests in harmony with our inhalation and our exhalation every 12 hours or so, we automatically begin experiencing the remaining 6 folds of the path. We cannot help but notice things change. We notice things change whether we want to or not. We cannot help but experience greater kindness of intention or communication or behavior or commerce. We cannot help but notice that our choices and our utterance and our deeds begin flowing from love's deeply centered spontaneity. That's the 6th fold of the path. And so the great irony is simply watching and resting as in harmony with our inhalation and our exhalation is the dynamo that turns the metaphoric cogs and wheels of the enlightenment machine. Why meditate in the first place? We are born with two systems in our underbrain. One rewards for competition. It's survival-oriented. One rewards for cooperation. It's fulfillment-oriented. Because of the nature of the society in which we were lived, in which we have lived since the Neolithic Revolution, our conditioning has been biased more towards survival than fulfillment. And it has made us pretty miserable. We meditate, we practice mindfulness and meditation to passively cooperate with our autonomic nervous system so that we are more defined by kindness and cooperation and wisdom than we are by competition and cruelty and mere cleverness. The great irony is that the more our choices and utterances and deeds are guided by love's deeply centered spontaneity, the more we can use the front of our brain gently and sustainably without exhausting it or triggering the anxiety and aggression of our amygdala. We will still experience the full spectrum of human circumstances and emotions, but we will find ourselves far less controlled by them. That is the difference between feeling angry and killing someone. The difference between emotion and volition. So the liberation, the freedom, the cessation the Buddha offers us, it's not freedom from the presence of emotion, but freedom from its tyranny. Some folks are elitist, others are egalitarian. Those who are egalitarian would say that the liberation of the Theravada and the enlightenment of the Mahayana are identical. Elitists would say no, one's better than the other. I'd rather be egalitarian. How about you? There are those who peddle in fear and those who peddle in love. Choose love. Excuse me. Pardon me. Let us practice the holocron-like exercises of love and letting go, the second through fifth folds of the Buddha's Eightfold Path. Rather than indulge our controlling tendencies with all follies of active visualization, emotion, magic, and belief, we could just recite these kind words in harmony with our breathing and allow our subconscious to do the heavy lifting. Let us therefore sidestep the rigidity that confuses metaphors or statements literal, and instead relax into the flexibility that savors the chance explaining metaphors as similes. Let's chant an explanation of this 10-syllable mantra. Om, I invoke the kindness that Tare spiritually liberates, and to Tare physically rescues as well as Ture blesses. So how may all beings master this dynamism? Om, I invoke the kindness that spiritually Tare liberates, and physically to Tare rescues as well as Ture blesses. So how may all beings master this dynamism? Let us begin by bringing our experience of the mental into the path of love, which is the second fold of the Buddha's Eightfold Path. May all minds of all beings know me as joyfully enlightened or Bodhi as the mind of a real or imagined Buddha symbolized by a bija, one syllable seed mantra tamoti clay drop. Let us divide the silent and mental recitation of the 6-syllable synopsis between our inhalation and our exhalation. Wisdom, joy for all minds. Now we come to this early morning's first of 4 exercises of mantra meditation, where we practice the union of love and letting go. To practice love, during our inhalation, we recite the entirety of the loving wish. During our exhalation, we do 2 things. We physically relax as best we can, while simultaneously striving to chant the 10-syllable mantra 4 times per breath. We do this for a total of 4 breaths. Now, if this is your first rodeo, please give yourself permission to have a learning curve. Some people get distressed and they say, I can't concentrate on love when I'm relaxing. Good, you're not supposed to. The concentration is active, it's rigid, it triggers our amygdala. the seat of anxiety and aggression. So we don't want to practice active concentration. In fact, we only want to practice passive noticing and passive relaxing. Super important. So during your inhalation, it's enough to just recite a loving wish. That's it. Doing so gently stimulates our neural pathways responsible for empathy, like doing push-ups, but for your empathy. Let's dig in. During our exhalation, the only thing we're supposed to be doing while chanting is relaxing. That's it. Therefore, the most important thing is not the perfection of our pronunciation, nor the speed of our enunciation, nor the tonal qualities of our chanting. The most important thing is simply to relax as best we can during the exhalation. Om Tare Du Dare Du Ri Suwa, Om Tare Du Dare Du Ri Suwa, Om Tare Du Dare Du Ri Suwa, Om Tare Du Dare Du Ri Suwa. Om Tare Du Dare Du Ri Suwa, Om Tare Du Dare Du Ri Suwa, Om Tare Du Dare Du Ri Suwa, Om Tare Du Dare Du Ri Suwa. Om Tare Du Dare Du Ri Suwa, Om Tare Du Dare Du Ri Suwa, Om Tare Du Dare Du Ri Suwa, Om Tare Du Dare Du Ri Suwa. Om Tare Du Dare Du Ri Suwa, Om Tare Du Dare Du Ri Suwa, Om Tare Du Dare Du Ri Suwa, Om Tare Du Dare Du Ri Suwa. Let us bring our experience of the interpersonal into the path of love, the third fold of the Buddha's Eightfold Path. May all relationships, communication, or speech of all beings know be as peacefully loving as a real or imagined Buddhist speech or communication symbolized by this horizontal tensorable mantra. No. These are not prayers made to a real or imaginary celestial entity. These are words we are using to guide our own intention. That and nothing more. We play with mantra simply because of this. Technically, we don't need anything other than mindfulness and meditation. However, many of us, including myself, have physical challenges, and this mantra work acts as a tonic, not a substitute for medical care, but a useful adjunct. At least it has in my life. It's helped me to survive a shit ton of disabilities, which I would not wish on my worst enemy. As we breathe in, let us silently and mentally recite peaceful love. As we relaxingly breathe out, let us silently and mentally recite for all speech. Om Tare Nunani Nurisawa, Om Tare Nunani Nurisawa, Om Tare Nunani Nurisawa, Om Tare Nunani Nurisawa. Om Tare Nunani Nurisawa, Om Tare Nunani Nurisawa, Om Tare Nunani Nurisawa, Om Tare Nunani Nurisawa. Om Tare Nunani Nurisawa, Om Tare Nunani Nurisawa, Om Tare Nunani Nurisawa, Om Tare Nunani Nurisawa. Om Tare Nunani Nurisawa, Om Tare Nunani Nurisawa, Om Tare Nunani Nurisawa, Om Tare Nunani Nurisawa. Let us bring our experience of the physical into the path of love, the fourth fold of the Buddha's eightfold path. May all bodies or forms of all beings now enjoy the beautiful health depicted in Buddha's statuary of the blissful body of a Devi or Yadam, archetype of enlightenment such as Green Tata. So we treat Tata as an archetype that we can relate to, because just as Tata's real or imagined paradise is appearing yet non-graspable, so are all our circumstances. Just as Tata's real or imagined body is sensual yet non-graspable, so is ours. Just as Tata's experience of the interpersonal is resounding yet non-graspable, so is ours. Just as Tata's mind is lucid yet non-graspable, so is ours. So yes, you can always find people who can twist things and sauce, who can take something pure and crumple it up into some sort of demonic origami. But the most spiritually, so there are ways to take anything good and use it bad. Jack the Ripper taught us that you could use surgical implements to murder people. But you can also use surgical implements to save people. Similarly, people can use images and mantras to indulge their duality and multiply their neurosis. If they want to, they can, and often they do. However, there are very skillful ways to use iconography and mantras to transcend duality, to practice non-neurotic love. And that's why we practice the Metta, Shunyata, Mahatantra, Mahamudra of love and letting go. Without letting go, love becomes a carrier wave to indulge our controlling tendencies. With letting go, love becomes safe to practice sustainably. Anything good can be turned into poison. Ask a chemist or a pharmacist, and they'll be glad to explain that to you. Beauty health for all forms. Om Tare Nunani Nurisawa, 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 Om tare du dare du ri so wa. 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 And now, fourthly, lastly, we bring our experience of the circumstantial into the path of love, which is the fifth fold of the Buddha's eightfold path. May all circumstances or lots of all beings now have the safety, great fortune, or boon. As a Buddha's real or imagined paradise, pure land of Hati. Great fortune for all lots. Whilst practicing this final exercise of mantra meditation, let us exercise the courage to allow our mind to wander over images we've seen depicting genocide in the Middle East, in Africa, images depicting jingoism and fascism and sexism and racism and classism and homophobia. And allow that the turmoil that might invoke and process that turmoil through this exercise of loving wish and letting go. Om tare du dare du ri so wa. 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 We are not to Gandalf the Grey. We're not trying to work magic. The loving wish is an exercise for our own empathy. The mantra is a tonic that helps us with the relaxation that we practice whilst reciting the mantra helps us to love non-neurotically without indulging our controlling tendencies. And the mantra is simply a tonic that supports our body. Om tare du dare du ri so wa. 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 Let us practice this early morning's fourth and final set of awareness and letting go that is meditating like a Jedi. These seventh and eighth folds of the Buddha's eightfold path generate the effortless effort known as the sixth fold of the same path. Oops, wrong button. As we breathe in, and we silently and mentally recite the verb watch. As we exhale, we silently and mentally recite the verb rest, and find ourselves passively and vulnerably watching the antics of mind, be they pertaining to the external or internal, physical or mental, pleasurable or painful, interesting or boring, glorious or grotesque. And we will also find ourselves during our exhalation physically relaxing and mentally releasing to such a degree that that which we noticed during our previous inhalation could feel even a little bit less stressful, less permanent, less defining, less tangible. Until, of course, we breathe in again and the cycle begins afresh. In all compassion may we long to free all beings from the toxic tyranny of ever. Hating, craving, and clinging, metaphorically known as the three mental poisons. In all pragmatism, may all liberation of all others be fueled by the three wish-fulfilling jewels of following the Buddha's example, applying his instructions, and cooperating with his students. Having sat for the better part of an hour, we might find it terribly refreshing to conversationally recite the 8-syllable synopsis of these past 2 pages, whilst simultaneously practicing deep knee bends to the best of our ability. This is not mandatory, it's totally optional. I find it to be profoundly helpful. Otherwise, I spend 10 to 30 minutes tottering around the apartment, groaning like an old man. Woof. Heels at shoulder width. Weight on the balls of our feet. Ass to the grass, then up on our tippy toes. May we all through the 3 jewels. Weight on our heels. Chair squats. May we all through the 3 jewels. Full squats. May we all through the 3 jewels. You have taken your first step into a much larger world. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. In approximately 2.5 hours, I would very much like to return to lead today's second session of chanting as well as meditation. And if you are as geeky as me, may the Force be with you always.